Hidden deep in the deserts of Jordan is a city that no one built from the ground up. Instead, its people carved it, room by room and temple by temple, directly out of a mountain of solid rock. The stone glows in shades of rose, pink, and gold, changing color as the sun moves across the sky. For that, it earned a nickname, the Rose City. Its name is Petra, and for 1,000 years, the outside world completely forgot it existed. To reach it, you must first pass through a hidden doorway in the earth, a crack in the mountains called the Sikh. This is the story of a desert people who turned bare stone and rare water into one of the richest cities of the ancient world. The Sikh is a narrow canyon over half a mile long. In places, its walls tower 600 feet overhead, so close together that they nearly blot out the sky. You walk through the cool shadow, twisting left and right, with no idea what waits at the end, and then, through a final sliver of light, it appears. A gigantic temple front, over 130 feet tall, carved flawlessly into the pink cliff face. This is the treasury, the most famous site in all of Petra. But its name is a mystery, and a bit of a joke. There was never any treasure inside. It is actually a magnificent tomb, built for a Nabataean king. The name came from a local legend that a pharaoh had hidden gold inside the giant stone urn at the very top. For years, people fired guns at that urn, hoping to crack it open and rain down riches. You can still see the bullet marks. So who carved all of this? A people called the Nabataeans, and their story is one of the great rags to riches tales of the ancient world. They began as nomads, wandering the harsh Arabian desert with nothing. But they controlled something everyone else desperately wanted. They controlled the great trade routes that carried frankincense and myrrh out of Arabia. These fragrant resins were worth their weight in gold, burned in temples across the entire ancient world. Every caravan of spices, silk, and incense crossing the desert had to pass through Nabataean land and pay for the privilege. Petra grew unbelievably rich as the toll booth of the desert. But wealth was not their greatest achievement. In a place that sees almost no rain, the Nabataeans performed a miracle. They mastered water. They carved channels, pipes, and hidden cisterns throughout the mountains, capturing every drop of the rare flash floods and storing it away. With this hidden plumbing, they supplied a thriving city of tens of thousands of people, complete with fountains and gardens, in the middle of a bone-dry desert. This water system was also a weapon. Enemies who tried to besiege Petra would find no water in the desert around it, while the Nabataeans, safe inside, had plenty. The desert itself was their wall. Beyond the treasury, Petra opened into a full and living city. There was a grand paved street lined with columns, bustling markets, temples to their gods, and public fountains fed by the secret water system. They carved a huge theater straight into the mountainside, with rows of stone seats for around 8,000 spectators. And everywhere they carved tombs, grand facades for their kings and nobles cut high into the cliffs so their dead could look out over the city forever. High above the city, on a wind-swept mountaintop, they built a sacred platform for their most solemn rituals, reached by hundreds of steps carved into the stone. The greatest carving of all sits at the top of a punishing climb of over 800 steps, the monastery, even larger than the treasury, standing alone against the sky. The Nabataeans even had their own written script, flowing and elegant. It would go on to become one of the ancestors of the Arabic writing, used by hundreds of millions of people today. They did not carve their gods as people. Instead, they worshipped them as simple, sacred blocks of stone. Their chief god was called Dushara, the Lord of the Mountains. Petra reached its golden age under a king named richest IV, a ruler so powerful and famous that he is even mentioned by name in the Bible. At the heart of the city stood a vast temple complex, so large it could hold thousands of worshippers gathered together at once. At its peak, as many as 30,000 people lived here, trading, worshipping, and raising their families inside a city made of solid stone. Step inside the carved chambers, and the bare sandstone swirls with bands of red, purple, and gold, like frozen waves of colored smoke. So how did such a rich and clever city become lost? First, the mighty Roman Empire swallowed the Nabataean kingdom whole, taking direct control of Petra and its trade. Then the world changed around it. Traders discovered they could ship goods faster and cheaper by sea, and the desert caravans that had made Petra rich slowly dried up. And then the earth itself turned against the city. A series of massive earthquakes shattered its buildings, and, most deadly of all, wrecked the brilliant water system that kept it alive. Without its water, Petra could not survive. Its people drifted away, the desert crept back in, and the great city was slowly abandoned to the sand and silence. For nearly 1,000 years, the wider world forgot Petra completely. It became a place of rumor, a secret known only to the local Bedouin, who lived quietly among its ancient tombs. They guarded it fiercely, and kept outsiders away for hundreds of years. Then in 1812, a daring Swiss explorer named Burckhardt heard whispers of a fabulous lost city hidden in the mountains. Knowing he would never be allowed in as a European, he disguised himself as a Muslim pilgrim, learned the language, and convinced a local guide to lead him through the Sikh. When he emerged and saw the treasury glowing in the sun, he became the first outsider in centuries to lay eyes on Petra, and he reintroduced the Rose City to the world. Today, Petra is one of the new 7 wonders of the world, drawing around 1 million visitors every single year. You may even recognize the treasury from the movies, where it famously played the temple hiding the Holy Grail. Even after its glory faded, people never fully let go of Petra. Centuries later, Christians built a church among the ruins and laid its floor with beautiful mosaics that survive to this day. And on quiet evenings today, the winding path through the Sikh is lit by thousands of candles, and the treasury glows once more in the flickering dark, just as it must have thousands of years ago. And astonishingly, we have still barely scratched the surface. Archaeologists believe that as much as 85% of Petra remains buried underground, completely unexplored. Using satellites peering down from space, researchers recently spotted an enormous unknown monument, hidden for centuries beneath the sand, that no one had ever recorded. Petra is a monument to human genius against impossible odds. A people with nothing but rock and rare water built a metropolis that dazzled the ancient world. They turned the desert into a fortress, carved eternity into the cliffs, and then vanished, leaving their rose-red city to wait, in silence, for the world to find it again. That was our 3rd lost city. Subscribe, and next time we climb high into the clouds of the Andes to a city that sat hidden on a mountaintop for 400 years. I will see you there.